Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful morning. We're finally in spring. Springtime, baby. The sun is out. It's starting to heat up. It's it's an exciting time. You spend so long. Obviously, seasonal depression is a thing. Cold is a thing. You think about it energetically. Cold slows things down. Everything's vibrating, all the particles. And when it gets cold, they vibrate a little slower, so you feel like you're not connecting your ideas as quickly. You're not making as many breakthroughs. You're not following through on things because it takes so much more effort to build up that momentum, to build up that heat, to get you going. And spring is such an exciting time. Things are starting to loosen up, warm up, starting to move, starting to get the ball rolling. It's a very exciting time. And I think I just really enjoy having the four seasons for that contrast. And it makes you appreciate all of it, really, even on the back end when you've had your summer, you've had your fun, you've had your warm weather. It's starting to get colder. You start to get excited to put on a few more layers, to go out and do your pumpkin patches and Christmas and all that stuff. Anyways, I'm doing a course right now. I'm out of town, and that comes with a change of environment, and that seems to be almost the biggest factor in my, I would say, self-esteem. If you're in an environment that doesn't nurture that, or it reinforces an older identity, if you can even simulate an updated environment, that can help you solidify some of these new ideas that you're incorporating, and some of these self-improvement kind of ideas. So I've been waking up at 6:30 in the mornings. I stayed up a little bit late last night only because I had to read a few chapters from the textbook of this course. So I was a little late going to sleep, but we got up same time regardless, and it sucked. It was not good, but you get up, and there's also, if you're living with people, try to use that to your advantage. It's not a competition, but you can almost make it a competition in your head. Like, oh yeah, I can get up earlier than them. Oh yeah, I'll hit the workout when they don't hit it. I'll spend the time journaling, reflecting, reading up on my material, whatever it is I have to study, or, while they're watching sports or watching TV. You can kind of, life is all about perspective. And if you can mold your perspective and just use the factors that are in your life to your advantage, that is very key. When you look at two people who have the exact same circumstances, but one excels and one stagnates, you go like, what? Like, what's the difference there? They had the exact same circumstances, same environment, same inputs. The difference is the perspective. The one who excels looks at what they can control. They look at the glass half full, what they've got going for themselves. What can they do to move the ball forward? I think it's the difference between yes and no. It's the difference between solutions and excuses. That seems to be it. So if you're like, oh, I live in a small town and it's very difficult for me to get my fitness on point because the only gym in my town, it doesn't have a Smith machine, or it doesn't have a leg press, or it doesn't have, even a squat rack, which is probably the most important piece of equipment out there. Well, one person can look at that and say, yeah, it's not even worth it for me to show up. If I don't have the equipment that I need, Like, why even try? I should just focus on other things. Where another person can look at that same situation and go, well, they do have dumbbells. You know, I could do step ups, you know, with the dumbbells in my hand. I could do goblet squats. You know, I could do lunges. Like, are you solution oriented or are you problem oriented? I was in a course and we're doing these exercises, and the whole idea of the course is like incident management. So like, there's a problem. How do we somehow find a solution? And we were doing these table talks, and there was an older gentleman there who, it seemed like every 30 seconds or a minute while we're having this discussion, trying to go through the framework, the structure to solve this problem, he'd always go, well, what about this? Oh, what about that? Have we considered this? You know, and in a team environment, you do want somebody who's going to poke holes in your theories to make sure that they stand up to scrutiny. Of course, that's very important. However, if you bring that mindset to your everyday life, you're just going to find problems everywhere, and you're not going to excel or move forward or progress because you're so focused on what you can't do. You're so focused on all the problems and the issues and the hiccups, and you know, you just won't move forward. And I'm definitely guilty of that. And it also gives you this sense of intelligence. You know, oh, I'm thinking of all the variables. You know, I'm so far ahead. I can see 10 steps ahead, and I can anticipate this is going to be a problem and this is going to be a problem. Yeah, but you're not even moving forward. You're not even making progress. So is it really helpful? Is it really intelligent and smart and wise, or is it a hindrance? So that's why I think psychedelics are so powerful and so potentially have the potential for transformation, because that's what they do. They change your perspective. And I just did a mushroom trip recently, and the main driver there, the main mechanism was, from an ego perspective, it strips you of all of your attachments. You know, you have an attachment to the level of comfort that you experience every day. You take for granted that you have a roof over your head and a bed to sleep in and clean water to drink. Speaking of which, stay hydrated. Sip with me. You got some water? Sip with me. That'll be good. It doesn't make sense to me, as a side note, why we have to drink so much water, because you pee so much. It feels unproductive. Like every hour on the hour, if I'm staying adequately hydrated, I have to stop whatever I'm doing, get up and use the bathroom. I don't know. Maybe it is advantageous. I don't know. Anyways, psychedelics, ego. Yeah, so it strips you of your attachments and it forces you to feel grateful, because you're like, what if I lost that roof over my head, or that bed, or that clean water, or those friendships and those relationships, or a body that I've cultivated and built up? And you come back with a renewed sense of gratitude. You're like, damn, like my life is actually really good. The whole time I thought my life was shit and that it sucked and that I was going nowhere and making no progress. And then, you know, I'm shown all these good things that I have going for me. That's extremely powerful. I mean, the same thing happens when you travel. I think that's why traveling is so attractive as well, because it alters your perspective. It puts you in a different set of circumstances, and it shows you how life could be. You know, it could be a lot worse, but it also could be a lot better. You know, and I think psychedelics do the same thing. But so I'm readjusting, and a big something that has happened to me yesterday, which has been a game changer. I don't know why I said it like that. Game changer is, for a long time, my perspective was, well, I'm no good at small talk. I'm no good at connecting with people, having this belief like, well, I probably have some form of autism. We're all on the spectrum to some degree. And I didn't really develop, personable skills. And so when I go into an environment, I assume, oh, he's judging me. Yeah, the way he's looking at me now, he doesn't want to talk to me. Oh, this guy, he's really proficient in his field. He doesn't want some nobody, amateur to be asking him questions, and, so I won't talk to him. And that was like my framework for how I'd navigate life. And it's very isolating and very disconnecting. And then I had this realization recently. You're going to park right next to me, aren't you? No, you're not. Okay, right on. I had this realization recently that was like, no, it's all good. Like, I can just strike up a conversation with anybody. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to continue the conversation or that they're going to be receptive to my initiation of the conversation, but a lot of people are. When you think about it, if someone comes up to you, be it in a different environment than you're used to, or in your daily, everyday, whatever, and they ask you something, you're usually like, yeah, I want to help this person, I want to give them any information I can, or they seem pretty pleasant, so I'll continue the conversation. Like, you're not going to blow somebody off just because they strike up a conversation with you. And just yesterday, I had an opportunity to initiate a couple of conversations. And one, I was at the gym, and this guy's squatting next to me, and he actually started the conversation first. And he's like, wow, it's, some great weight that you're moving and whatever. Like, it's really impressive. I was like, oh, I appreciate it. And he was telling me he had a back injury a couple of years ago, and he hasn't squat the same since. And every time he goes to the bottom of the squat, it gets really tight and uncomfortable. And I was like, yeah, well, let's get you under the bar and let's try a few things. He was doing high bar squats, and his feet were very narrow. And I said, well, why don't you try moving the bar down your back so it's now a low bar squat. High bar is very focused on the quads, low bar for the glutes, so you can instantly lift more weight. But why don't we also widen your stance of your feet and then angle your feet out so that your knees don't cave in and they open up. And immediately that was very helpful. He got more range of motion, and he got down to parallel on his squat. He's like, oh, thank you so much, man. Like, I really appreciate that. And that was kind of like, oh, like, people, I have information. We all have information from our unique perspective that can be helpful to others. Like, and it's, to some degree, we have, I hazard to say it because now, it holds me to a certain standard, but to some degree, we have a duty to share that information with people, to help out the next generation and to absorb the information from the experts and the people with experience so that we can learn and hand that information on to, people less experienced than us. Like, it's a beautiful cycle, the way it works. And I'm leaving the gym, and there's these guys parked next to me on motorcycles, and maybe look a little intimidating the way they're dressed or whatever, but I'm like, gorgeous day for it, for a motorcycle ride. And he's like, oh yeah, geez, we're just coming from here, and I just got this bike recently, and it's a 2005, and oh geez, it's in great condition. Yeah, man, I really lucked out. And he was telling me all about it and whatever. I don't really care about motorcycles. It's not really an interest or a passion of mine, but we had a conversation about it for 10 minutes, and he was telling me about, his relationship with his son and his father, how he got into it. And, it's just great to to feel like you can connect with people. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you share even the same interests, but you can learn something from everyone. And we're in a time where we're the most disconnected we've ever been, in a time where we're the most virtually connected that we've ever been. And it's simultaneously very informative, but also very disconnecting, in that we don't really know our neighbors anymore, and we don't know how to have small talk and strike up conversations with people. So it's a skill that is going to be very valuable these next few years. So if you can hone that and practice that and get rid of that guilt and shame and self-condemnation, you're not a bad person. You're most likely, if you feel guilt and shame, you're most likely a good person that's probably just made some mistakes in the past, and you just need to forgive yourself. Just let go. Just let go of the past version of yourself. You don't owe anybody anything. In fact, you owe it to yourself to let go of that baggage and to move forward renewed, and that's the process of the phoenix, burning off the dead wood so that you can make room for this newer version of yourself. I know Dwayne from Dry Creek Wrangler School, shout out Dwayne, he talks about with horses, when you're training them, if they have these bad habits, you can't just tell them or show them to not do this thing. You have to replace the bad with something good. And in your life, if you're so focused on, I'm not where I want to be, I'm not who I want to be, I'm not progressing the way that I want to, and you're just trying to stop the bad, well, there's something to be said for that, but you then have to replace it with something good. Excuse me. So, yeah, if your bucket is leaking, plug those holes for sure. But if you're just focused on plugging all the holes, you're not going to have more water to fill up the buckets. You simultaneously, as you're patching those holes and you're correcting those negative patterns, you've got to replace them with positive, productive patterns that are going to solidify the change psychologically. Because if you're just focused on putting out fires, or plugging those holes, oh, hi, we've got a seagull, I want to show. He's like, what's up? I want to show you this seagull. Hey. He's like, what are you talking about? You got something? What are you saying over here? I'm trying to do some self-development as well. Can you help me out? Anyways. So yeah, I'm just killing time because before he's back again. Hi. He's he's looking right at me. What's up? I start this course I still have 30 minutes, but we're going on 20 minutes here, so I'm not going to he's a small guy. He's like a regular sized seagull. You see some of these seagulls now, they're like massive. They're like eagles. Like, what are you guys eating? Are we wasting that much food, throwing it out, that you guys are just getting plumped up? This is quite distracting. I very rare do you see a seagull this close, and he's very close. He's like right on my windshield. Anyways, it's so distracting. Even though I know he doesn't have he's not self-aware, he doesn't have consciousness. It's like I feel eyes watching me, and it's no different than, well, it is different than, say, you watching, for example. You're watching retroactively, preemptively, across time. I've already made this, and you're now watching it. It's not like you're looking at me live, you know what I mean? It's this weird thing. But anyways, man, hopefully something I said sparked a thought or gave you a different perspective. That's the other thing. It's like psychedelics, traveling, but even just a conversation, information can change your perspective. That's what's so powerful about YouTube or about information in textbooks or AI, LLMs, whatever, is that just a conversation can change your perspective and help you implement a new habit or change your outlook on something. So that's my goal with these videos, is just to chop it up with you, have a conversation, and see if anything lands, if anything starts to, spark any new ideas or perspectives or anything like that. So thanks so much for watching. You made it at 20 minutes in. Like, what? You're goated, dude. Come on, appreciate you. I'm gonna continue moving forward and making these, and I really hope that they're helpful. So if they were, let me know. If anything sparked any ideas or topics of conversation, anything you want to know about, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate you for watching, and this guy has a word to say to you. Okay, excellent. All right, thanks so much. Okay, bye.